Welcome back to TECHMIMIC, where you can simply view, imitate, replicate and get on with your day. In this video we're going to install LXQt on a system where we have just installed FreeBSD 14.1. If you need help installing FreeBSD itself, a step-by-step video is linked in the description for your convenience. FreeBSD doesn't come with a graphical environment or graphical user interface, because in many server applications of FreeBSD this is not needed. But if you want to use FreeBSD as your primary machine for daily use, the desktop environment like XFCE, GNOME, KDE, Mate, LXQt and Cinnamon will be very useful. The first step for all of those is to install the X Windows system. Boot up the system, log in as the root user and type the command pkg install xorg. And when prompted, enter Y for yes. The required packages will now be downloaded. This could take a few minutes. If there will be regular users on the system besides root, add them to the group video with the command pw groupmod video-m and then your username. The next step depends on your graphics card. In my test environment, I am running FreeBSD in a virtual machine, but the procedure will be different for Intel, AMD, Nvidia, etc. To identify the graphic cards installed in your system, type PCI-conf-lv pipe grep-b4vga. Again, as I am using a virtual machine, the device is an QXL Paravirtual card. If the graphics card is not on Intel, AMD or Nvidia, then VESA in BIOS mode or SCFB in UEFI mode modules should be used. To check the boot mode, type sysctl macdep.bootmethod. In my example, the boot method is BIOS, so I can go for the VESA module because this is not on Intel, AMD or Nvidia. This might sound intimidating, but it is very easy. The FreeBSD handbook has a table that lists the exact module and the steps to be used for your graphics cards. A link to this is in the description of this video. Just replace it in the next command with your required module. Type pkg install xf86-video-vesa. Now the X Windows system is ready to go. Type start X. This is very basic, as you can see, and it is not that useful. So on top of the X Windows system, we have to add a desktop environment. Now it's time to install the easy to use and fast desktop environment LXQt that originates from LXDE. Based on Qt technologies and being light on system resources, LXQt will also perform well on less powerful machines. To start fresh, I have rebooted the system. After the reboot, we stay on the command line as the system doesn't boot automatically into X Windows. Log in as the root user. LXQt requires the proc file system to be mounted upon boot. I'm using VI, but you can use any editor. Add the below line to etc fstab. Save the changes and exit VI with escape to exit insert mode and then :WQ. And I like to double check it with the cat command. Besides the proc file system, LXQt also needs the message bus daemon. This is already installed, we just need to enable it with the command sysrc dbus_enable equals double quotes yes in capitals and double quotes. After the changes, let's reboot the machine. First we install the LXQt packets. Type pkg install LXQt. The required packages will now be downloaded. This could take a few minutes. LXQt is now installed, and as a last step we need a display manager, in this case SDDM. To install SDDM, type pkg install SDDM. LXQt is now installed and ready to go, and there are two different ways of starting it. If you want to start it manually, switch to the user you want to use LXQt with, and make sure you are in that user's home directory. Now type the command that is on screen now. You can double check if the file .xinetRC is actually there and there are no typos. You can now start LXQt by typing start X. Most likely you want it to be started automatically upon system boot, and we will discuss that in a minute. The first time, the Welcome to LXQt dialog is going to ask you what window manager you would like to be the default. I will select TWM, the tab window manager first, so you can see a brief demonstration. After that, we'll switch to Openbox. Note the text at the bottom of the window that explains how to change the default window manager later on. TWM takes a few seconds to load, at least on my test machine. But meanwhile, you can left click and hold on the empty desktop, and it will show a pop-up menu with various options. Let's look at the terminal. In TWM, every time you invoke a window, you need to define its location. You can see that meanwhile, the rest of the environment has now loaded. Let's ignore the messages for now. When you minimize any window, they become icons on the desktop. Let's open the Featherpad text editor. And minimize. When any of the desktop icons is now clicked, it will restore its window or application. The bundled set of applications is very minimal, but it serves as a good starting point, and as stated, LXQt is extremely lightweight. The version is 2.0.0. Now let's check out how it looks with Openbox and get LXQt to start automatically upon system boot. Open a terminal as the root user and type sysrc sddm underscore enable equals double quotes yes in capitals and double quotes. Reboot the system, and from this point on, LXQt will automatically start for you and will be ready to go. LXQt boots up and shows the login screen. Alternatively, you can select the window manager you would like to use. Log in, and at this point it will still load the TWM window manager that we have selected earlier. Let's switch that to Openbox by opening the menu and then Preferences, Session Settings. And on the Basic Settings tab, select Openbox and click Close. You will now need to log out and log in for the changes to take effect. Openbox is a minimalistic and highly configurable window manager. Almost everything you see is customizable, but the default gives you 4 different virtual desktops or workspaces. You can take any application and simply drag it to the taskbar. Let's do that with Screen Grab. Configure Openbox behavior through the Openbox Settings or Window Manager Preferences dialog. This is also where you can apply themes to Openbox. Also, the Featherpad text editor is still available. Right-click the desktop for a quick menu, very similar to what we saw earlier in TWM. You will notice that a lot of applications are not actually installed, as Openbox will show a default list as standard. For example, let's say that I want to start a calculator. It will report that I can't execute GNOME calculator, no such file or directory, a clear indication something is missing. To install it, log in as root in a second virtual terminal and type pkg install GNOME-calculator. And note that the first time a lot of dependencies will be installed for such a small package, but they can be reused later. Now once GNOME calculator is installed, it will work through the menu structure. Not sure if you actually want to do this, and there might be better options for a calculator, but this is just to show you how you can actually invoke GNOME-based applications in Openbox. This concludes the demonstration of how to install LXQt on FreeBSD. If you are running FreeBSD in a virtual machine, it is a common problem that your mouse pointer just refuses to move in your desktop manager. If you encountered this problem, may I suggest that you watch the related video on the topic, where I will demonstrate how to fix this for both QEMU/KVM via the virtual machine manager and for Virtualbox. There is a link in the description of this video for your convenience. That's it. Hope it helped, and if it did, please like the video and keep it up. Until next time, bye!